Russian citizens will no longer be allowed to visit Estonia, Latvia, and Finland with any visa because of the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine. State officials say that Russians cannot enjoy their time in Europe while Ukrainian people are being massacred. Minister of Interior Lori Lainmetz said the sanction is needed because by attacking Ukraine, Russia is attacking European values and freedoms. He said, Russian citizens cannot have the self-evident freedom to enjoy the opportunities offered by the same European values and freedoms that the European Union offers, be it vacation, education, or business activities. On average, about 2,500 Russian citizens enter Estonia per day, of which nearly 1,250 come with short-term visas, half of which are issued by Estonia, and the rest are issued by other Schengen countries. Therefore, this measure has some limited effect, but in order to achieve a real sanction effect, visa restrictions should be applied by all EU member states. Minister of Foreign Affairs Amazrian Salo said, "We will not tolerate Russian tourists in Europe enjoying their time while people in Ukraine are being massacred on a daily basis."
That from tomorrow valid, we are going to sanction basically all the visas we have earlier issued, and these sanctioned people having these sanctioned visas are not anymore let into Estonian territory.
Additionally, Estonian authorities have removed a Soviet-era tank from its pedestal in the eastern city of Narva, the most significant removal yet out of an estimated 200 to 400 such monuments that the government has pledged to take down by the end of the year. Moscow has criticized Estonia's plans. The elimination of monuments to those who saved Europe from fascism is outrageous, of course, the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said this month. The Baltic state was a Soviet republic from 1944 until 1991, and nearly a quarter of its population of 1.3 million people are ethnic Russians. Similarly, the Latvian Interior Ministry has proposed for the issuance of residence permits to Russian and Belarusian citizens to be postponed. In addition, the amendments include restrictions on the issuance of first residence permits to these citizens, so people wishing to prolong their stay in Latvia will have to apply for a permanent residence permit in the EU and fulfill the necessary criteria, such as the knowledge of the destination country's official language and have sufficient funds. Estonia, Latvia, and Finland have become the main entry points into the EU for Russian nationals with visas since the bloc halted flights from Russia. Finland will also join the Baltic states in jointly proposing the discontinuation of an EU visa facilitation agreement with Russia that makes it significantly easier and cheaper for Russians to travel to and within the EU. Increasing numbers of Russians are circumventing the closure of EU airspace to Russian flights by crossing into Finland and traveling to EU holiday destinations from Helsinki Airport. Finland's Prime Minister Sanna Marin has repeatedly said it is not right that tourists from Russia can holiday in Europe while its troops are killing in Ukraine. Other EU leaders are not in favor. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that only those who were responsible for or profiting from the war should be punished. He said, "This is not a war of Russian citizens, but Putin's war." Similarly, the United Nations has reacted to Estonia's decision to stop issuing Schengen visas for citizens of Russia and ban them from entering the country. The spokesperson of the UN Secretary-General said that by imposing such measures, Estonia is discriminating against citizens of Russia. The Finnish parliament is preparing to limit or stop the issuance of visa to Russians. Moscow stated that it will react very negatively if Finland implements such an action. Some officials said the country could lose €600 million annually due to the decrease in tourists. Finland has continued to issue the visas as usual despite the war of aggression waged by Russia in Ukraine, unlike for example Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. With the EU prohibiting Russian aircraft from using its airspace, Finland is offering Russians a gateway to other parts of Europe. The National Coalition Parliamentary Group stated that it believes the current situation facilitates the circumvention and undermines the effectiveness of sanctions imposed on Russia. Kremlin stated that Russia will react very negatively if Finland stops or restricts the issuing of tourist visas to Russian citizens. Dmitry Peskov said Russia would react very negatively to this, noting that he understood that Finland had not yet introduced restrictions on Russian tourists, adding that he hoped that situation would continue. He said, all such actions against Russian citizens would require countermeasures and a response that should be understandable and expected. Peskov's statements followed news of growing support in Finland to ban issuing new tourist visas for Russian citizens due to the country's attack on Ukraine. Representatives of the National Coalition, Social Democrats and Finns Party said that the criteria for issuing visas should be stricter. Jukka Kopra, the deputy chairperson of the National Coalition Parliamentary Group, said Finland should take the same approach as Estonia, regardless of what is decided by the EU. He said, I know that this strict approach would be particularly detrimental economically here in southeastern Finland. Still, I'm of the opinion that we're talking about such serious moral and humane issues that this strict approach should be adopted. Kopra added that visas could be issued on similar grounds as under the restrictions introduced to slow down the spread of the coronavirus, such as to Russians who have close relatives, who own property or who receive healthcare in Finland. Mikko Kivikoski, a deputy director at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, stated that it may also be beneficial to offer a window into life in a free democracy to Russians and preserve contacts between Finns and Russians. But Jukka Kopra is not convinced by the argument. He said, they've had more than 30 years since the collapse of the Soviet Union to see how democracy works and travel freely, and it hasn't helped. I don't believe in that theory. Some officials said last month Russian tourists accounted for as much as 19% of all tourists. They added there were concerns the country could lose €600 million annually due to the decrease in their numbers caused by issues from the war. Jussi Tanner, the Director General of Consular Services at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, said that limiting the number of visas issued would be theoretically fairly straightforward. He said, we're now receiving about 1,000 applications a day from Russia, and that capacity is constantly pretty much fully in use. Limiting the number of applications we receive would lead to a drop in the number of visas issued. No political discretion is used on individual applications. Over 50,000 visa applications have been lodged at the Finnish consulate in St. Petersburg in Russia so far this year, the authorities have revealed. Antti Lindman, the chairperson of the Social Democratic Parliamentary Group, viewed that it is at least justified to quickly explore the possibility of restricting the issuance of tourist visas. It would be necessary to estimate how such restrictions could affect the ability of opposition parties to operate and citizens to access accurate information in Russia. He said, Russia's brutal war goes on day after day, and normal interaction isn't possible in many other ways either in these circumstances. He did not indicate whether he believes the issuance of visas should be suspended partly or completely.